Start out with package one is an education package. Item one, Attorney General, it's the safe and secure firearms detection. House modified would add 5 million SGF for a one-time funds, add language specifying only public school buildings and only for 2 years. Safe and secure detection for 2026. House modified transfers 5 million from CPIU increase for one-time funding with language specifying public schools only and a 2-year plan. Move down to number 3, safe and secure firearms detection. We're not going to fund for 27. And then the next one is safe, secure schools for 2025. Delete 5 million SGF. And the House did not recommend deleting the funding. Okay, and then the bottom one, professional development. House did not recommend deleting the funding, so take that. Page 2 at the top, CTE transportation. House did not recommend deleting the funding, so we'll give you that. Mentor teacher program, delete 1.3 million SGF for a mentor teacher program in fiscal 25. House did not delete the funding. Next, computer science advancement grants 2025. House did not recommend deleting the funding. Teacher excellence for 2025. House did not recommend deleting the funding. Additional special education state aid for 2026. House modified, add 5 million SGF, add language to the bill that would require CRE, KLRD publications, and KSDE publications to have an asterisk that would note which funding is above Gannon funding and notate as AGF. Next is child care acceleration grants, House modified funding of 1 million CIF. Next, toiletry kits, Senate modified, add 1 million SGF instead of 1.8. Page 3, safe and secure schools. Senate delete 3.5 million SGF and add language requiring at least 250,000 to be used for instruction in CRP and AED use in public schools, at least 1 million to be used for purchases of the AEDs and maintenance equipment in school districts, at least 125,000 be used for instruction for CPR and AED use in non-public schools, and 125,000 be used to purchase the AEDs and maintenance equipment in non-public schools. Number 2, professional development. Senate delete the funding, 1.8. CTE transportation. House did not recommend deleting the funding, so the funding's there. Mentor teacher program. Senate delete the funding, 1.3. Computer science advancement grants. Senate deleted funding, 1 million. Teacher excellence. Senate deleted the funding, 360,693. Page 4. Additional special education state aid in 2027. House modified, additional 5 million SGF. Number 2, citizens education 2026. Senate adds the funding, 10 million SGF. We added to 10 million SGF. Okay. Would you like to do questions now, or Senator Claes?
Yeah, thank you. Due to a printing error, if you go back to page 3, it will be the top item, also referred to as number 10. That was to be 1.5 million and funded by CPIU. That would be the Senate offer, so apologies for the failure to edit that one. And,
This one, right?
and then, yeah, you have a question.
Okay, on that item, so in prior years, the Safe and Secure grants, they actually applied. And so would that mean those schools that applied for this equipment and this training, we would have up to 1.5 million? Is there any match for that? Or is this just across the board for all schools?
$280 AEDs? 200? Okay.
So again, how would that be distributed? And is the CPIU across the total, or is it off of those schools that partake of these items? Because some already have them, and so,
I'll refer to Senator Clays.
That would be at discretion. Yeah, that would be up to the discretion of the Department of Education and the schools itself.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to package 2. We'll call this the Economic Development Package. Item 1, rural remote workplaces in 2026. House modified, fund at 1 million EDIF. Number 2, KC Biohub for fiscal year 2026. House modified, fund at 1 million ARPA. Number 3, boy, I can't even say that. Sequencentennial 2026, House modified. Cinquin, okay. Okay, good. It's a House modified, fund at 73,000 EDIF. Sunflower Summer Program 2026, Senate modified, do not fund. Sunflower Summer Program reimbursements 2026, Senate modified, do not add the language. Next is Small Business R&D 2026, House fund at 500,000 EDIF. Public Broadcasting Grants, House funds at 500,000 EDIF. Strong Military Bases 2026, House funds at $214,023 EDIF. Build Up Kansas 2026, Senate modified, fund at 2 million EDIF. The bottom HEAL grants for 2026, House funds at 1.5 million EDIF. Page 2, Office of Broadband Development in 2026, Senate funds at 1.1 million SHF. State Highway Fund. Okay, registered apprenticeships in 2026, House funds at 1 million EDIF. Kansas Art Commission 2026, House modified, fund at 1 million EDIF. Add language that matching grants money is only allowable to cities of 85,000 or below. Or counties. It says cities here, but misprint on there. It's counties instead of cities. Next, Rural Opportunity Zones 2026, House funds at 1 million EDIF. Add language allowing funds only for populations of 15,000 or less. Counties, yes. Counties of 15,000 or less. Main Street, fiscal year 2026, House funds at $850,000 EDIF. Work-based learning 2026, House funds at $714,000 EDIF. Quality Places 2026, Senate deleted the funding. Older Kansas Employment Program 2026, Senate deleted the funding. Page 3 at the top, Governor's Economic Council 2026, House funds at $204,500 EDIF. Rural Champions 2026, House funds at $150,000 EDIF. Reemployment Integration for 2026, House funds at $99,000 EDIF. Senior Community Service Employment Program 2026, House funds at $8,400 EDIF. Operating Grant for 2026, Senate funds at $9.7 million EDIF. Junior Achievement, Senate did not recommend funding. International Trade, Senate funded at $1.4 million EDIF. Tourism, Senate funded at $4.9 million EDIF. Build Up Kansas, JCPF, fiscal year 2026. House did not recommend adding or deleting the funding. Page 4 at the top, Rural Opportunity Zones Program, fiscal year 2026. House did not recommend adding the funding, deleted the funding, or adding the language. Kansas Industrial Training and Retaining Program 2026, Senate funds at $2 million EDIF. Talent Grant Fund, add funding and language regarding the Talent Grant Fund, House Modified Fund at $1.5 million EDIF for fiscal year 26 and 27. Sheltered Workshop Transition Grant Program 2026, House funds at $1 million EDIF. EDIF reappropriation lapse for 25, Senate added the funding. It's $40,594 EDIF. EDIF reappropriation lapse for Tech Innovation 2025, added $27,028 EDIF, Senate added that. SEDIF capital outlay aid for 2026, Senate adjusted the funding source, deleted 2.5 million SEDIF and added 2.5 million SGF to adjust the funding source. Experimental program to simulate competitive research. Senate adjusted the funding source, deleted 993,265 SEDIF and added 993,265 SGF. And the last one at the bottom, EDIF, Ag Experimental Station, House Modified Fund with 336,064 SGF. Page 5 at the top, Local Farm to Food Program, Senate deleted the funding. Number 2, Agricultural Marketing 2026, House modified the funding at $1 million EDIF. BVLOS Operations fiscal year 2026, House modified using SGF, added $3 million. All from the ARPA interest and acquired technology and necessary and the approvals to operate. EDIF Parks Operations 2026, House funded at $2.2 million EDIF. EDIF operating expenditures in 2026, House funded $1.9 million EDIF. EDIF National Guard and Veterans licenses for 2026, House funds at $124,000 EDIF. Cheney Lake Marina, Senate add the funding and the language, $200,000 from ARPA interest for the Cheney Lake Marina. EDIF transfer to SWPF 2026, House funded at $2 million EDIF. Page 6, State Treasurer ARPA interest for 2025. Senate added language to transfer ARPA interest income starting May 1st, 2025 from the ARPA fund to the SGF in fiscal year 25. State Treasurer ARPA interest 2026. Senate added language, transfer ARPA interest income starting July 1, 2025 to the ARPA fund into SGF fiscal year 2026. Department of Commerce, grants for resorts and convention centers 2026. Senate added language and add $6 million SGF to provide grants for to facilitate a resort or convention centers. And the last one, Cybersecurity Center for Excellence in 2026. Senate added the funding, add $3 million EDIF, Cybersecurity Center of Excellence for fiscal year 2026. So as you can see on this one, around 2 and that package 2, you guys got a lot of stuff.
Got to feel good about that.
Yes.
Oh, there could be changes made.
Questions on 2?
All right, so I have many questions. First, on the Sunflower Summer Program, you initially had it funded at $3 million, and now it's do not fund. So I'm just kind of wondering, because when we gave you our package on EDIF, we took the numbers that you had passed in 2007 and then merged our numbers in to have the entire EDIF table. So I'm just wondering why that is reduced now to nothing.
I'll refer to Senator Clays on that one.
Hot potato. We determined in our discussions that this package made more sense without it, and that it is a fantastic offer.
Well, I don't know about fantastic, but next question I have is in regards to the Office of Broadband Development. So you're shifting that from EDIF to the State Highway Fund. I'm just wondering, is that in regards to the $5 million that we passed in Ike that goes towards broadband, or exactly is that's just? I want to make sure that we're not pulling it from the State Highway Fund when we also have other provisions regarding broadband within KDOT.
Senator Clays.
Correct.
And then we have zeroed out of Quality Places and Older Kansas Employment Program, Junior Achievement, not funding that. So then we have a $3 million increase to, well, that's coming out of the Job Creation Fund for Rural Opportunity Zones.
Can you give the page and item? So this was a floor amendment that we are taking the House position and removing our floor amendment. So that would be canceling that one out.
All right. And then the last two items on page 6, these are, well, actually all 4 of those items are new. Can you explain? I understand the ARPA interest. I mean, the transferring of that is pretty logical. But in regards to the grants for resorts and convention centers and the cybersecurity center, this is the first time that we've ever seen these.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is actually in our bill, ARPA interest, those 2 items. We did add those on our side. Yeah, I'm just making clear that those are in there because they were not included on the blue sheets, and that was just an oversight. So those are now in this package for purposes of not having to reprint a bunch of blue sheets. The grants for resorts or convention centers has to do with rehabilitation. For instance, the Topeka Expo Center, this would be an additional amount to what is required to do some rehabilitation. And then the 3 million for the Cybersecurity Center for Excellence, I believe they had a previous appropriation, and that this is an additional to complete that. So those are those two items that are additional that we're requesting at this time.
Now, you're saying all 4 of these items were included in your budget? All right, well, the first 2 are fine. The bottom 2, that's going to come under scrutiny. Any other questions?
Check on Build Up Kansas.
No question?
Yeah.
Representative Ballard?
Package 2.
Yeah, Mike.
Oh, excuse me. Thank you. Package 2, Build Up Kansas.
Yeah, I think if I'm reading this right, that was a floor amendment that you did the funding on page 1 for 2 million, and then you're deleting the floor amendment from the job creation fund. Okay.
Okay, well, that was my question because it wasn't following the sheet.
Any further questions?
Sunflower program.
I already asked about the question.
But I wasn't satisfied with his answer. I'm sorry, but I mean, but why?
It's a package. And we determined that to make the best package and giving you all these positions, we chose to not fund that item in this package.
I wasn't being curt answering that, but that's the one that I've heard a lot about. So I felt it would deserve to get an answer again. Thank you.
All right, any further questions? All right, see none? Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We'll move on to package 3, which is higher ed. Start out the top, Board of Regents. Senate added the funding, 1.9 million SGF for reappropriation lapse in 2025. Number 2, reappropriation lapse for State Scholars Program 2025. Senate added the funding. Number 3, reappropriations lapse for the Nursing Education Grant 2025. We added the funding. Appropriation lapse for Nursing Student Scholarships 2025, added to funding. 2-year college apprenticeship in 2026, House modified, add language to prohibit transfers if reverses exceed 6 months. Added SGF for the 2-year colleges apprenticeship account, and added language to allocate the funding to designated schools in 2026. Community college capital outlay in 2026. House added 5 million, added SGF to the CTE capital outlay. Tiered technical education 2026. House modified, add language to prohibit transfers if reserves exceed 6 months. Added that SGF. Non-tiered and technical education 2026, House modified, add language to prohibit transfers if reserves exceed 6 months. Deleted SGF from the non-tiered technical education account and added language. Page 2 at the top. 2-year college student success initiatives for 2026. House modified, add language to prohibit transfers if reserves exceed 6 months. Number 2, student financial aid 2026. House modified, fund at 50% of the 1.8. Lapse for computer science grant in 2026. House deleted the funding. Lapse for career technical education 2026, took the House, delete the funding. Student financial aid 2026, House modified funds at 50% of the 1.2. Student financial aid 2026, House modified funds at 50% of the 3.5. Student financial aids, House modified 50% on the 3.9. Wildfire Suppression fiscal year 2026. House did not recommend adding the funding. EDIF KSU 105. Senate did not recommend adding funding or language. Page 3 at the top, KSU 105 Resource Center language, did not recommend adding the language. KSU 105 goal language, did not recommend adding language. KSU 105 job language, 2026, did not recommend adding language. KSU 105 report language, did not recommend adding language. Student financial aid, House modified at 50% of the 1.8. Geological survey 2025, Senate did not recommend adding the funding. Student financial aid, House modified to 50% of the 4.1 million. Student financial aid 2026, House modified 50% of the 1.1 million. Page 4, House modified funding at 50% of the 4.2 for student financial aid in 2026. School of Dentistry feasibility study fiscal year 2026. House did not recommend adding the funding. And that's all on round package 3 for higher ed. Senator Clays, correction.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Going to page 1, the language does not apply to the two items at the bottom, tiered tech ed and non-tiered tech ed. So that language would not apply there if you'd like to cross that out. Yes, what would be referred to as page 11, numbers 3 and 4.
Any other questions? And we'll move on to package 4, which is a construction package. Bonding authority for fiscal year 2026 for KSU Veterinary Medical Center. The House added the language. Number 2, bonding authority for KSU Veterinary Medical Center, add language. The House added the language. Number 3, life safety maintenance at Salina Training Academy for 2025. The House modified, add 500,000 SHF. And number 4, the Troop C Headquarters Central Dispatch for 2026. Senate modified for fiscal year 26 and 27. Add 55.5 million SHF for relocation of the Troop C headquarters and central dispatch facilities, and authorize a memorandum of understanding for expansion of a shared firing range facility in fiscal year 2026. And the last one is a Kansas Bureau of Investigation, KBI headquarters for 2026. Senate modified up to $80 million in bonding authority for fiscal year 2026 and 27. Add language to pursue tax credits. Okay, and a correction, Senator Clays.
On the page 20, item number 2, which is the Troop C headquarters and central dispatch, that's bonding as well. The Senate position initially was a one-time $55.5 million hit, so that's a bonded position now.
Questions?
On the last item, KBI headquarters, it says pursue tax credits. What tax credits?
Senator Clays.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The owner of the building is able to apply for historical tax credits for that particular building and the construction, and that savings to the builder would be potentially passed on in the sale price to the state or any other buyer.
Other questions?
Okay, so which property are you referring to?
This would be the property on Quincy Street. It's the one that is behind the Evergy site.
Other questions? Okay.
Well, just back to that historic tax credit. So the owner takes the tax credit. That comes out of our SGF. We're going to pay either way. Where's the savings?
The owner of the building could potentially rehabilitate the building, take the tax credit, and not sell it to the state. So the state gets the hit either way on the tax credit. The point is to take it if it's available so that the number is not missed in this process. So one way or the other, historical tax credit, making sure that it's pursued.
Okay, we'll go to the blue sheets. On page 1, I think we handled these in our package from your package. Except for bids. We were going to do, we were going to do a change on bids, Senator Clays.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bids is left out of the, or is in the 1.5% reduction overall. And since they are in that, we have determined to hold the Senate position on that particular item for the lapse so that the assigned counsel can continue to be funded.
Page 2 at the top, the ERP modernization, we're going to stick with the Senate there. Department of Commerce, the MRO, we're going to stay with the Senate at this time. In your package, I think we've dealt with that in our package at the bottom 2, 3 on the bottom. All of page 3 and page 4 is in our package. The top 2 on page 5 are in the package. Going down to the Secretary of State, we were going to stick with the Senate for a minute on that one. Okay, and going down to Build Kansas Aviation Jobs Funds, I'm going to let Senator Clays explain this one.
After some review of the potential loan recipients, we have a modified position. So this would be a Senate modified, where 35 million would be funded through PMIB, which would be required to follow the securitization rules, and then 15 million would come from the Build Kansas Fund. It would continue to be through the treasurer. We would also add some language, and I know David's working on that, so we'll get that out there as soon as we can as specific language. But it involves how the personal guarantee would be layered in that process, just to align with some best practices. And we'll deliver that now.
Okay, moving down the sheet, CMHC grants, we're going to stick with the Senate for right now.
Have that dual package you want me to describe.
Right, on the IDD. Okay, we'll go to the bottom to the IDD slots. We've had conversation with the folks involved in this, and I'm going to let Senator Clays explain this.
Sure. So after speaking with the stakeholders, we've determined that it would be best to invert page 6, item 5, and the previously held position on page 7, item 9. So we would add the funding on item 9, which is a Senate position of 8.5 million SGF, and we would delete the funding on item 5, which is 8.7 SGF. And the rationale there was that the stakeholders believed that they could increase capacity with increased rates to deliver better service and to include more people into the process should we increase the number of slots in the future, as opposed to simply increasing the slots but not increasing that reimbursement rate. So that was a stakeholder discussion. And then the third one in this sort of mini package, so we're just putting 3 items together here, would be then to go to number 12 on page 7 and make that a flat funding. So we would move that back to 10 million, which was their 2025 cap. So sort of a mini package, or just simply 3 items that you can accept in tandem.
We felt like they all kind of went together, and after having that conversation, we would just offer the 3 of those together.
Thank you. Just a clarification, what did you say you were doing with 9? I was reading on the other, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So number 9 will be funded. So it would be the Senate position to fund 9 would be our offer, and then taking number 5 and not funding that item, instead doing it the other way around.
I got it.
And then we would add into that the flat funding, 10 million on the lottery vending machine transfer.
Okay, and then we'll move to page 7, and I guess that's all. We took care of that. Okay, we'll go down a page to Department of Labor, and we have a Senate modified with some language on this program for GM. It basically lets them draw their funding from from GM, but they couldn't draw both funding there and funding for unemployment, so it just can't double dip. Moving on down to the next item, number 2 there in the middle of the page on Department of Labor, that is in the package. So that takes care of page 8. Page 9, hospital outpatient rates, we're going to go with the House. Healthcare upskill training program, number 5 on the 2026 fiscal year. We're going to stay with Senate there for right now. Page 10 is all in the package. Page 11 is all in the package.
Down to 7.
Actually, there's a couple at the bottom of that one.
It looks like everything there's in a package also, all the way down. So page 13. Page 13, we have, okay. We'll go back to page 11, I'm being told. Okay, 8 and 9 were not in the package, and we're going to stick with the Senate at this time, both of them.
And is there two?
Number 10, is that in the package, Donald? Page 11, number 10?
50%, yeah, it was, I think it is, it's 50%.
Okay, yeah, it's 50%. Yeah, that's in the package, yes. All of page 12 is in the package. All of page 13 is in the package. 14's in the package. Page 15 is a package, except at the bottom. Historical Society, we took the House position, and on both of those. Wait a minute, two at the bottom are still Senate, or that package? That package at the bottom?
Yeah.
Yep, all in the package on page 16.
Okay.
17 is all package.
At 18.
Okay, on the top of page 18, you guys had asked us to go back on that one, so we went back to Senate on State Library at the top. The rest of page 18, oh, wait a minute, the bottom one. You think the House at the bottom? Okay, yeah, the rest are all in the package. On page 19, there is the House modified down on the reappropriations lapse for capital improvements. You guys had offered 172,000, and we agreed to that one. Page 20 is package. 21. We have a package on the first one on the KBI, and then Department of Ag, we have number 1 is in that package. Then the bottom 3 are water, and we were understanding that you had a package coming for water, so we were going to wait those 3. We'll take Senate positions for now. Page 22 looks like package all the way down to the bottom, and then the bottom one in 2026 is, we'll take Senate because that's another water item. 23, the 2 at the bottom and 1 at the top are water, and so we'll stick with Senate on that one. '24 at the top, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is water. Oh, 6 is in the package, yeah. 3, 4, and 5 are in the water, and 6 is a package. 7, or excuse me, fiscal year 2026, the SGF lapse. We're staying with the Senate on the 1.5 language.
I thought that was very great.
Did we agree on it?
With exceptions, that's what I have down.
Okay.
That's what I wrote down.
Okay. So we're offering back Senate modified, okay? It's the language. Moving on to page 20. Pardon me? Yes, return to office, number 2 is also Senate. So we have Senate modified and a Senate. That's all the blue sheet. You guys going back at the floor for? So are we, so.
I don't know how long we're going to be on the floor. Do you guys have any idea how long you'll be? We'll try to have an offer back in here in this room at 6:30.